Let me start by telling you something that will either offend you or free you. You get what you tolerate. Life will always hand you what you're willing to accept. The quality of your life is not just a reflection of your goals or your talents, it's a reflection of your standards. And if your standards are low, don't expect your life to be high. Disrespect is poison. And too many of us have learned to sip it slowly, call it normal, and then wonder why our soul feels sick. Let's make this plain. What you tolerate, you teach. And the first classroom where you do your teaching isn't with other people, it's inside your own mind. If you tolerate disrespect from yourself, you are setting the tone for how the world is allowed to treat you. Most people are walking around like they're nothing but flesh and flaws, talking to themselves like they're their own enemy, beating themselves down with every mistake, minimizing every gift, comparing every blessing, mocking their own reflection. And I'm telling you, you can't ask God to elevate you while you're busy assassinating yourself in secret. The way you speak to you matters. The way you think about you matters. And the craziest part, some of you defend people who disrespect you faster than you defend yourself. You'll stand up for your friends, your family, your business, your kids, but when it comes to your own soul, your own voice, your own purpose, silence, excuses, shrinking. Let me tell you something. If your inner dialogue was played on a loudspeaker, you'd be shocked at the level of abuse you tolerate from your own mind. Things like, I'm not good enough. I'm always messing up. Who do I think I am? People like me don't win. I'll never be as successful as them. This is just who I am. I'll never change. You hear it every day. And here's what's wild. It doesn't even shock you anymore. That voice has become so familiar that you've mistaken it for truth. But let me tell you, familiar doesn't mean healthy. Familiar doesn't mean accurate. Familiar doesn't mean God ordained. And if you've allowed that voice to run your life, today is the day you evict it. I remember a season in my life when I was accomplishing things that people said were impossible, growing businesses, speaking on stages, helping others succeed. And yet, every night I would hear that voice whisper, you're still not enough. You're just getting lucky. Sooner or later, they'll see you're not who they think you are. That voice wasn't just annoying, it was paralyzing. Because it didn't matter how high I climbed, as long as I was disrespecting myself internally, I could never enjoy the victory. I could never rest in who I truly was. Because I was treating myself like an enemy. And enemies don't trust each other. Let's get this straight. You were made in the image of God. You carry the DNA of the Creator. You are the craftsmanship of the divine. You're not a mistake. You're not an accident. You're not a random collection of flaws and insecurities trying to survive. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, period. So why are you speaking to yourself like you're worthless? You wouldn't let someone come into your house and scream insults at your children. You wouldn't let them tear down your spouse or mock your closest friend. So why do you let that voice inside your own head do it to you? It's not humility to downplay your worth. It's not maturity to tolerate shame. And it's definitely not godly to beat yourself up for the very things God's already forgiven and redeemed. Listen, I don't care how many affirmations you say in the mirror, if the voice in your mind is still rooted in condemnation. You've got to uproot it. You've got to retrain it. You've got to tell that voice, the one that sounds like fear, like shame, like unworthiness, you don't speak for me anymore. Because the voice you listen to the most becomes your reality. So speak truth, speak grace, speak purpose, speak power, and above all, stop tolerating any form of disrespect, especially the kind that comes from you. When you raise the standard inside, the world starts to rise to meet it on the outside. But it starts with you. Always settling is subtle. It doesn't walk into your life wearing a warning label. It slips in quietly, disguising itself as being realistic, as taking what you can get, as just being grateful. And don't get me wrong, gratitude is powerful. But there's a difference between gratitude and giving up. There's a difference between being thankful for what you have and convincing yourself that it's all you'll ever get. You've got to stop settling for a discount version of your destiny. Somewhere along the way, someone convinced you that your dreams were too big, that your standards were too high, that your desires were too much. And so you did what most people do when they get tired of being disappointed. You lowered the bar. You stopped asking for more. You stopped stretching. You stopped believing, and you started settling. Settling for that job that pays the bills but kills your spirit. Settling for relationships where you're tolerated, not celebrated. Settling for environments that feel safe but suffocate your growth. And what's worse, you started calling it wisdom. This is just how life is. Maybe I was asking for too much. I don't want to be greedy. Hey, let me tell you something. You were never created to fit into a life that doesn't fit your calling. You were not designed to survive. You were built to thrive. And if you have to dim your light just to be accepted, that's not humility, that's self-betrayal. I remember years ago, I was in a situation where everything looked good on the outside. People were clapping for me, money was flowing, opportunities were showing up, but something in my spirit felt off. You ever been there? Everything looks fine, but your soul knows you're living beneath your assignment. That moment changed everything for me, because I realized that just because something is better than where I was doesn't mean it's the best God has for me. Good enough is not the same as called for. Don't let progress make you passive. Don't let better make you blind to what's best. Settling is not just a decision, it's a declaration. It says, I don't believe there's more for me. It says, I'm okay living beneath my purpose. And that is a lie straight from the pit. Because God does not give us desire without design. He does not whisper vision into your spirit just to tease you. If he showed it to you, he intends to deliver it. But he's waiting for you to stop settling. See, when you settle, you send a signal to heaven that you're no longer available for elevation. You let fear negotiate your future. And the problem with settling is that it becomes addictive. The longer you stay there, the more normal it starts to feel. Before you know it, you start defending your limitations, protecting your comfort zone, and calling it peace. But peace is not the absence of pressure, it's the presence of purpose. So let me ask you, what area of your life have you made peace with less? Where have you lowered the standard to avoid disappointment? What dreams have you quietly buried under phrases like it's too late or maybe next year? Because if God put more in you, it's disobedience to keep living with less. If there's a fire inside you that won't go out, it's not a coincidence, it's a calling. And settling is the fastest way to smother it. You've got to raise your expectations, not based on what you've experienced, but based on what you're made of. You're not just anyone. You're a child of the Most High God. You carry promise. You carry potential. And you were created on purpose with purpose. Stop acting like a beggar when you were born royalty. Stop asking for scraps at tables you were meant to own. And stop settling for a version of life that doesn't reflect the magnitude of your design. Because the moment you stop settling, heaven starts moving. So take your place, lift your head, and step into more, not because you're arrogant, but because you refuse to insult your Creator by living beneath what he placed inside you. Laziness is not just about doing nothing, it's about doing less than you're capable of. It's about knowing what's in you and still choosing comfort over calling, convenience over commitment, distraction over destiny. Let's call it what it is. Laziness isn't harmless. It's not a phase. It's a slow, quiet agreement with failure. And here's the most dangerous part. We've gotten really good at disguising laziness. We baptize it with excuses. We dress it up in fake wisdom. We call it rest when really it's resignation. We say, I'm just waiting on clarity, when really we're waiting for someone else to do what we're anointed to do. We say, I'm overwhelmed, but we haven't even started. We say, I don't want to force it, when what we really don't want is to face the mirror and admit we've been avoiding the work. Listen, there is a difference between rest and laziness. Rest is sacred. Rest is strategic. Rest is obedience. But laziness is when you refuse to sow but expect to reap. It's when you consume motivation but never act on it. It's when you have time for social media, Netflix, scrolling, gossip, distractions, but somehow no time to build what God placed in your hands. I know what it's like to have ambition burning inside of you while laziness tries to negotiate your energy. You start saying things like, I'll do it later, I'll start next month, I'll launch when things are perfect. And before you know it, 5 years have passed, and the only thing that grew was your excuses. Let me break it down for you. Laziness is expensive. You don't see the cost up front, but it robs you of time, robs you of confidence, robs you of impact. Every day you delay the work, you delay the reward. Every time you choose ease over excellence, you lose influence. And eventually you look around and realize you're living in the ruins of what could have been. Don't confuse talent with fruit. You can be gifted and still be lazy. You can be called and still be passive. Calling means nothing if you don't walk it out. God doesn't bless potential, he blesses movement, he blesses discipline, he blesses diligence. The Bible says the hand of the diligent makes rich. Not the hand of the talented, not the hand of the one with the best ideas, the diligent. The one who shows up when it's not fun, the one who builds when no one is watching, the one who keeps going when motivation dries up. You want to be successful? Then you have to do more than want it. You have to work for it. I don't care how gifted you are. If you're lazy, that gift becomes a liability. Because people will stop believing in you the moment you stop producing. And let me say this with love. If you're not where you want to be, check your habits before you blame your circumstances. Are you sowing daily? Are you building? Are you sharpening your craft? Are you making excuses or making progress? Because the truth is, God already gave you what you need. It's just sitting on the shelf of your inactivity, gathering dust. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for someone to push you. Stop waiting for life to slow down. You've got one life, and you don't get to rewind it. Laziness has stolen enough from you. Don't let it steal your next season. Get up, move, do the work. Show up when it's hard. Show up when it's boring. Show up when no one's clapping. And keep showing up until your life reflects the greatness you were born with. Because excellence isn't something you stumble into, it's something you grind toward. And you don't get to complain about results from work you never did. Negativity is not just a mindset, it's a squatter's camp in your soul. It moves in quietly, it settles deep, and before you know it, it starts rearranging your priorities, repainting your identity, and rewriting your story. And the wild part, most people don't even realize they've been paying rent in the form of peace, joy, and purpose, while negativity lives inside of them for free. Let me ask you something. What voices have you been entertaining in your head? Because whatever you give space to will eventually start speaking for you. If you let bitterness stay too long, it becomes your interpreter. If you let doubt stay too long, it becomes your decision maker. If you let shame live in your mental house, it will decorate every corner of your future with regret. And we act like we have no control over it. But let me challenge you right here, right now. Just because a thought knocks doesn't mean you have to open the door. Just because negativity wants to move in doesn't mean you have to offer it the guest room and make it comfortable. I know what it's like to battle thoughts that won't stop talking. Thoughts that say, you're not qualified. They're going to find out you're not as good as they think. It's too late to change. You always mess this up. And for a while, I believed them. I gave them space. I rehearsed them. I let them play on repeat like a bad soundtrack to my life. But then one day I realized I'm not just thinking these thoughts, I'm feeding them. I'm giving them authority. See, you don't overcome negativity by just hoping it leaves. You evict it with truth. You confront it with what God actually said about you. You push it out with intention, because if you don't, it will keep growing roots. And eventually, your entire mindset will be poisoned. Let me make this plain. Your thoughts are the blueprint of your life. You don't build a kingdom with a broken mentality. You don't create abundance while housing a scarcity mindset. You don't walk in purpose while letting pessimism dictate your steps. And here's what people don't tell you. Negativity is comfortable. It gives you an excuse not to try. It tells you you're protecting yourself. It lets you play small without guilt. It lets you blame everything and everyone else while you sit in stagnation. But comfort is the most expensive addiction on the planet, because it costs you your future. It costs you the version of you that could have been if you had believed it more. You've got to fight for your mindset like your life depends on it, because it does. Everything starts in the mind. Your faith, your focus, your creativity, your confidence. So why would you allow anything toxic to live there without confrontation? Some of you need to cancel the lease. You need to walk into the rooms of your thoughts and say, this no longer belongs here. Kick out the criticism. Kick out the old trauma labels. Kick out the narrative that says you'll always be broken, always be behind, always be less than. That's a lie. And you've tolerated it too long. Your mind was not designed to host negativity. It was built to carry vision. Vision for your business, vision for your family, vision for your future. And vision can't survive in a place polluted by fear, shame, and bitterness. So make a decision today. Don't just clean the surface, cleanse the foundation. Declare war on any thought, any belief, any agreement that's not aligned with your assignment, because if it's living rent-free in your mind but costing you your joy, your peace, your identity, it's too expensive. Take your mind back, take your power back, speak truth louder than your fears, and don't ever again apologize for choosing a mindset that honors your calling.